Finally, in this modern day and age, a horror director has matched my freak, and his name is Fede Alvarez. We have to talk about Alien Romulus today, right? Now, I know that I'm a little bit behind the times, okay? The movie came out like 2 Fridays ago. But because my review is a little bit later, we get to talk about a little bit more of the reception to this film and a little bit more of like the controversy. I feel like I have to save it for the spoiler section though, because the main point of contention, it contains a big spoiler. That being said, if you haven't seen the movie, I will have a whole spoiler-free section to kick us off. That's usually how I do things around here, so don't worry about it. I will let you know when spoilers begin. But before I jump into things, if we've never been formally introduced, I'm so sorry. My name is Kylie. Obviously, I also go by Haunted Hippie on this channel, or as the Antichrist. That's right, slid straight out of Satan's womb. If God is a woman, then so is the devil. Anyways, so yeah, if you're cool with that, like, if you find that more endearing than weird, if you want to kind of be in on our little bit here and like join my cult, then you can click subscribe. It also really helps to click the like button and the notification bell, drop a comment, that way you never miss the next video. Alright, let's set the stage for my viewing experience for Alien Romulus. Little history lesson, if you will. I've always loved Alien, okay? I watched the first 4 movies of the franchise with my dad maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and I hadn't rewatched Alien since then, but I just was obsessed with the franchise at that time. Much like most people, I did not get the vibes of Alien 3. I thought that Alien 4 was really bad but really fun. I'm still really excited to rewatch those. If you want to join me either for a video or a live stream, I'm not sure yet, but I will be ranking the entire franchise on this channel, minus Alien vs Predator probably. But if you're watching this from the future, then check that out. That's already going to be out. Anyway, would consider myself a pretty big Alien fan, but maybe not like die hard, just because I know that there's people out there that have probably seen the franchise at least 10 times and whatever. I was super stoked. I ended up rewatching just the original Alien to prep for Alien Romulus, because Romulus takes place between Alien and Aliens. Love it, still great, still nearly a perfect film. I also did not see a single trailer for Alien Romulus. If you've been on my channel any length of time, I'm so sorry to be repetitive, but I think we'll probably have some new faces on this video. I don't watch trailers. I don't believe in it. About 2 years ago now, there were the trailers for Barbarian that kind of restored my faith in trailers for about 0.2 seconds. And then guess who learned from that, okay? Guess which marketing teams took note and said, oh, that's the way that we should do things. It was zero. I'm being dramatic. The marketing team at Neon definitely took notes, because the whole marketing strategy for Longlegs was exquisite, but I still didn't watch trailers for Longlegs, okay? I need to know nothing. I need to know as little as possible, and that's how I walked into Alien Romulus. I somehow managed to stay away from all of it. One of the only things I saw was that the Reeboks that Kaylee Spany was going to be wearing are going to be on sale, and I think that they're like $130, but they've probably all sold, and I bet that they're only available from resellers now, which is really disappointing. But yes, I went in blind, and I also booked a ticket for me and my boyfriend in the Dolby Cinema, the best theater at our local cinema, and I wouldn't have had it any other way, because the experience was just so unbelievably immersive. It was gorgeous. I tried not to be too hyped up, but like I did see some of the early reactions. I ended up getting off of Twitter for like 2 or 3 days before I went to see the movie, because I saw that it debuted on Rotten Tomatoes with like a 97%, and I was like, I'm getting so excited, like I'm getting too excited, like I need to relax, I gotta calm down, I can't get my expectations too high. But when I was sitting in that seat about to watch an Alien movie in theaters for the first time in my life, directed by Fede Alvarez, mind you, which, oh my god, okay, I didn't even mention that either. We do a lot of watch-alongs on my channel, and so we did watch-alongs of the entire Evil Dead franchise, and then also recently we did a watch-along of Don't Breathe. So I had caught up on 2 of Fede Alvarez's best films before going into Alien Romulus, fell in love with them even more than I had upon my first time viewings of those movies, and just was like, I know that Fede Alvarez cannot let me down. He won't. And with the possibilities of the Alien franchise, how freaky and gory and nasty it can be, Alvarez was the man for the job. Like, I was sitting in that theater and I just was like holding my boyfriend's hand and I was like, we're here, like it's happening. And I will tell you what, right now, that excitement was not unfounded at all. Alien Romulus is the best horror movie of the year, okay? That's just how it is. That's just what it is, and that's true. That's the truth. It's true. And listen, we can, in broad terms, kind of unpack what a lot of Alien fans are not liking about the movie. For some reason, a lot of Alien fans take issue with fan service. And I get that that is a popular criticism in today's day and age. Believe you me, I mean, listen, the biggest movie of the summer is Deadpool and Wolverine, which if you're a Marvel fan, that movie is loaded with everything that any type of Marvel fan could possibly dream of. Even if you were a fan of the OG Fantastic Four movies with Jessica friggin' Alba. I don't know what, I feel like that came out like it was a slight against Jessica Alba. Nothing against her, what? But you know what I mean, like those movies just were so bad, but like they still have their fans, and like there is stuff from those movies in the new Deadpool Wolverine. Like that's just how far reaching all the stupid ass cameos are in that movie. And I liked Deadpool and Wolverine, don't get me wrong, like I had a fun time. But when that's the movie of the summer, and then you complain that Alien Romulus is guilty of being nothing but fan service. It's nothing but a combination of all the other movies of the franchise. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's because I saw Deadpool Wolverine before I saw Alien Romulus, but the fan service in Alien Romulus is just nowhere near as egregious. There is a big component of the movie that is the only thing that makes me feel like those criticisms are founded, and we will get into that with spoilers. But in comparison to a lot of the other slop that we've been fed over like the last 5 years or so, you know, like Rise of Skywalker. Alien Romulus is nowhere near as guilty of just shoveling fan service at you. I think that there is a difference between having a proper Alien movie that has all the components that make a good Alien movie, and a movie being nothing but stupid fan service to the point where it convolutes everything that was set up before it, like Rise of Skywalker. And I don't like talking about Rise of Skywalker, mostly because I don't like inviting Star Wars bro energy in my comment section. I don't want to talk to you about that. Like, trust me. I just feel like that's maybe one of the only times where that annoying ass fandom was actually kind of right about all of their complaints. When it comes to Alien Romulus, I think that you guys are a bunch of whiners. I think you're a bunch of babies. I had no idea that so much of the Alien fandom was like so stuck up, to be really honest with you. And I'm not trying to like invalidate any emotions about it, because obviously it's a very old film, and if a lot of these fans are older, like there's nostalgia that comes into play. There are very real emotions that are tied to these original movies, and that stuff matters to people. Like, I do honor that. But from what I perceive, I see people that have given Alien Romulus 1 star, a 1-star rating, and their review is just nothing but complaining about the fan service element. And I'm like, I don't think that you walked into this movie actually wanting to enjoy it, because there is just so goddamn much to enjoy about this movie. It gets everything right in terms of like the late stage capitalism element of it, that it honors the original film with the company, with Mother, with the directives of the synthetics. That whole thematic element was carried so strongly by Kaylee Spany. Her character, she was so well written. This also might largely be due to the performance. I'd be so interested to see what her interviews have to say in terms of like the background of her character. I don't know if, you know, maybe Alvarez or his co-writer, oh gosh, who was that? If one of them wrote a character treatment, or if Spany kind of did that background work on her own. I feel like it had to have been there. I feel like there must have been a whole backstory crafted for her character that was really well articulated, and everybody just was like on the same page, because that was the vibe that I got. Even though we only get to see really 1 or 2 sides of her character, it didn't matter because her motivations all felt so genuine, and like they came from a real place. Like, I just felt very connected to her on a human level. And it's reasonable that we would only see a couple sides of her character because they're in this colony where the sun literally doesn't shine, and the company has reduced everything about her life to just being a cog in the machine. It's a very, very direct metaphor, but like, who cares? Like, metaphors are good when they're direct sometimes, you know? So as a person within this universe, of course, everything about her has been stripped away, but this, like, she's in survival mode. That's all she has. She just carried this like dejected weight in the first act of the movie that really like set up her intentions super well. And then with the group of characters that we're introduced to, they all have their own different ways of coping with it. Some of them are just like nose to the ground, I am going to get out of this, just very determined. Some of them are externalizing their woes and projecting and just being total assholes. I thought that it was a really well-rounded take with all these characters on how this type of environment environment can affect your soul, like your humanity. And that was just act one. That's just introducing us to all of the characters. So immediately I just was like, wow, okay, bravo, we're in this. So even though, you know, obviously it's an alien movie, there is some sort of mission that these characters are embarking upon that the aliens get in the way of. Even though initially it seems so unrealistic and so dangerous and just like unbelievable, you get it because the conditions they're living in are so utterly horrible. There's no room to be like, oh my god, these horror characters, they're so stupid, like why would you mess with this, whatever. So luckily have not been seeing that criticism from any of the super low ratings on like Letterboxd or whatever. Then let me get back to my experience in the Dolby Cinema. I swear they need to sponsor me because it just is like my favorite place in the world. I might even like it more than an IMAX theater because at my theater, the Dolby Cinema has way comfier seats than IMAX, and I think that the picture and the sound quality is just as good and I don't have to drive out to Burbank, you know? The shots in space, like I'm just so glad that there was an emphasis on creating the atmosphere, on establishing the space, literally, because they were in space, but seeing these vast shots that really were beautifully done. I think the VFX was wonderful for this film. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that because some were not so good, but at least for these sweeping shots of space and being with the spaceship. There are certain shots where it's, you know, the ship connecting with another ship or something and you feel the rumbling and like we could feel it in our seats. And especially when they were taking off, it almost felt like being on a roller coaster or something. I kind of felt like I was in that spaceship with them because Alvarez really let you live in that moment. It was quite a moment when they were taking off. That might be the thing that I appreciate about his direction the most, besides the gore and the freak shit, is the attention to that kind of detail in terms of your immersion. Because another thing that he does so well, oh my god, is sound design. I have to imagine that as a director, he is really involved in post-production because the intentionality with sound in his films, it's almost next to none in terms of like modern horror direction. Have you guys seen Don't Breathe? Have you seen Don't Breathe? Because if not, you need to see that movie. Sound is such an important element, and you can see a lot of echoes from Don't Breathe in Alien Romulus. I think that was sort of an excellent practice round for him to then direct this Alien film, because I think it's also one of the only space movies I've seen that really honors how sound actually works in space, in that it doesn't. Sound doesn't travel in the vacuum of space. Now, were there some explosions and stuff and fire in space? Yeah, but that's okay because fire and explosions are awesome. Was the sound and the fire sometimes manipulated to be more cinematic than realistic? Yeah, but whatever. It made the experience of watching the movie so much better, and so I don't give a shit. If you are watching goddamn Alien Romulus and you're complaining about realism, don't be a bore, okay? I think that also brings us to my favorite aspect of the direction of a one Fede Alvarez. This is an Alien movie for the real freaks, okay? I'm so excited to continue rewatching the franchise, but from what I remember, the franchise typically tends to lean towards the action elements and a little bit into the sci-fi. There are some like weird, gross things in this franchise, don't get me wrong. Now, mind you, at the time of shooting this review, I have not seen Prometheus and I have not seen Alien Covenant, so I'm not speaking to the entirety of the franchise, mind you, but at least in terms of the franchise origins, like let's just say the first 3 movies, you know, they don't lean into the freakiness the way that Alien Romulus does. Us horror fans are eating good this year. I felt that finally the acidic blood of the aliens was used to its full potential. I felt that the body horror that can be inflicted onto people was also utilized to its full potential. And finally, the face huggers, those freaky little things that they are, they were finally put on full display. That is something I feel like the franchise has been sorely missing because the face huggers freak me out almost more than the actual aliens themselves. The thought of like a giant, I don't even know what to call it, an appendage, if you will, slithering all the way down my throat into my stomach to deposit eggs, that's honestly more terrifying to me than a giant alien just killing me, like shooting out its little eel head and like plucking out my eye, or, you know, it's stabbing me with its tail. That's a little easier for me to digest somehow because I feel like those are quicker deaths. The face hugger thing is just pure violation. And they were used exquisitely in Romulus. I thought it was a perfect film. Like, it's, you know what, my experience was perfect. Is any film ever truly perfect? Maybe not. Like, with this one, I just didn't really care to be like, well, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 because some of these criticisms, they are actually kind of founded, because it just didn't bother me. The rest of the movie was good enough. Like, every other element surrounding this, like, one, in my opinion, minor problem was good enough for me to be like, 5 stars, best movie of the year. Okay, maybe not best movie of the year. I think that's still reserved for Love Lies Bleeding, but this one comes really close. So go out and see Alien Romulus. Are you kidding me? I mean, I know that it has already surpassed its budget. Like, it already opened to over $100 million. It just finished its weekend 2 run, so I'm sure that it's still doing smashingly well. At least I hope so. And I hope that its 3rd weekend keeps going, you know? Let's keep this train rolling. A perfect viewing experience, a wonderful, freaky time. Fede Alvarez, I hope that you never stop directing horror. I am in awe of what you do. Go out and see Alien Romulus. With that, though, that concludes my spoiler-free section. It's time to maybe dial it back on the gushing just for a minute so that we can unpack the major problem with this movie. Well, okay, this is a perspective thing, okay? It's a problem to some. It wasn't really a problem to me. However, I do understand the issue with it. If you haven't seen the movie, please stop watching, okay? I'll be sitting right here waiting for you when you get back, I promise. So yes, let's talk about the revival of Ian Holm via CGI. They brought back the character of Ash, or no, I should say, what's his robot name? Oh, Rook. Okay, so he goes by Rook in Alien Romulus. This is the big fan servicey thing that is very glaring throughout most of the runtime. When he first popped up, I was like, oh no, it's him. And I was excited, honestly, not because of like the fan service element, but just because I knew that the presence of that robot would spell big trouble for these new characters. That's why it excited me, because I knew that he would get up to all sorts of mischief and he would also mess with Andy. So I see these reviews that are honestly just so fucking rude. They're like, well, you know, you get the return of Ash and they jangle those keys in front of your face for so much of the runtime, implying that people are just a bunch of babies and that it's nothing but like a hollow cameo. I found it very purposeful because it created a really strong feeling of dramatic irony. Us as the audience know so much information about this original robot character and what he's capable of, whereas this new cast of characters doesn't. They animate him thinking that maybe he'll have the answers for us, maybe he can help us. And then we're sitting there in the audience like, oh my god, no, he won't help you. Oh god, this is so bad. But then it's like watching a car crash and you just can't look away, and it's like, oh god, what's gonna happen? There are actually layers to it beyond just, hey look fans, do you like this? And you like this, you little babies? Be so fucking for real. Like, if you are the one failing to see the layers of using that character to like manipulate the emotions of the audience, then it's really a you problem, is it not? If you think that all it is dangling of the keys, then might I suggest you perform a more critical reading of the film. It seems like actually you might be the shallow one. Oh, ooh. And I am not even trying to defend egregious fan service or anything. I do kind of take issue with the fact that they CGI'd his face into the movie because it looked really bad. I thought that that type of technology had come a bit further than the visuals we saw in this movie, especially given how gorgeous all the shots of space were and everything. What I personally would have preferred is that they built an actual animatronic. And like, you had $80 million, why does this look like that? Just build an actual animatronic. It's this old ass, busted ass robot. That's literally what it is. So just build an actual robot. Like, that was baffling to me. And then just use VFX to fill it in because, okay, you know, the actor has long since passed away, but there is also scanning technology now where they can like 3D print that kind of stuff. So just give the animatronic the best face that you possibly can and then supplement that with VFX. The fact that we did get like what looked like just a fully CGI face was not good. That part of the criticism I do understand and I am with you there. But obviously that didn't detract from my rating because I still give it 5 stars. He is a robot after all and he is meant to look a little bit uncanny, so it didn't really like disrupt my experience too much. Concerning Concerning spoilers, now I also want to get into the performance of David Johnson. I won't dwell on this for too long because you've probably already seen all the praise for him all over the place, and I just want to say that I agree. I didn't want to talk about it in the spoiler-free section, even though, like, he deserves it. I guess I could have thrown him a bone and said, like, he has the best performance in the movie, but I didn't want to talk about it then because really early on you find out that he is a synthetic, and that was a shock to me. Remember, I didn't see the trailers, so maybe that wasn't a surprise to everyone else, but it was to me, and I was thankful for that because immediately, like within the first 5 minutes of the movie, there's a little twist with one of the characters that they introduce us to. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be very interesting. And David Johnson made damn sure of that. Holy cow, was he just the most perfect person? I don't know if his eyes naturally kind of have this twitch or if he really just has that much control of his facial expressions, but his eyes would kind of like do this little twitch thing every once in a while. I feel like at least once during a scene you'd sort of see like, you know, the twitching of his eyes, it literally looked like what I would imagine a robot would look like if they were humanoid and they were computing something. He literally was just able to do that with his face. Like, that was amazing. And then also the moment of possession, it was very much giving me Evil Dead, but I have never seen a robot get possessed. The possession from a corporation rather than a demonic entity, and yet both are almost equally as evil. I thought that was such a unique scene. Like, that took my breath away, honestly, when he's just like reprogramming. And from that point on, just the unpredictability of his character was, the writing, the suspense, the fear. I was obsessed, and nobody else could have done the role so well, I'm convinced. To conclude, just want him to star in everything now. Now, before I end this review, I would be remiss if I did not mention our new alien-human hybrid creature. The final showdown with Kaylee Spany, and she was wonderful too. The practicality of everything. Why didn't I talk about that in the spoiler-free section? The creature acting. Oh, marvelous. I was getting a lot of echoes from Barbarian, you know, and Mother, and just we have yet another new fantastic creature actor on the scene, apparently. His birth was the part of the movie where I felt maybe even more violated than the face hugger scene. The birthing scene, listen, he could have been an even more sick freak and expanded on it a little bit more. Let us stew in all the nasty sound design of labor. Okay, literally this disgusting creature just exploding out of her body. Because birth, the people that go through it, they're warriors, but it's like just one of the most primal and nasty things that we do. And it's beautiful and the miracle of life and whatever, but like it is, men going to war don't face such horrors, okay? So I thought that we could have lingered a little bit more there, but then when she's like pulling this like disgusting mucus, I'm assuming she was lactating it, I was like, I was like, why did I need to see that? But then the intention became very obvious to me when this creature is coming back up to his mama, and his little sucker, little thingy is like coming out of his throat, and I'm like, I swear to God, if he starts suckling on her nipple, I'm going to kill myself. That was what I felt Alvarez was sort of edging towards, and if you've seen Don't Breathe, he does something pretty similar. I won't get into what it is because like it's a huge, very upsetting spoiler in Don't Breathe, but there are definite parallels to that where he plays with you in terms of like the camera angles, the sound design, where for like a couple seconds, like you don't know what actually is happening. And yes, you are fearing for the worst and most disgusting outcome because that's kind of what he's setting up. In this case, I was so thankful when the camera panned over and I think that he was like suckling out of her neck. I think we didn't actually see if, the suckling was happening from the nip. And thank God for that. Oh God, that was probably, in my opinion, the best moment of horror in this movie. The best moment of suspense, maybe I would say. It's a tough call. I don't know if I could choose between the part where they're trying to walk silently through the face hugger room, or when they're trying to like float their way through all of the acid. There's just so much to praise about this movie. So many gnarly moments. So many moments where like my claws, my grippers are just digging into my boyfriend's arm. Some pretty good jump scares. I had to ask my boyfriend, I was like, I didn't scratch you, did I? Because I kept like grabbing him. I had to hold his hand sometimes. Like, it has just been a while since I've been on such a roller coaster ride with a sci-fi action horror film in theaters. I left that theater so happy, so excited, just so jazzed about not only Alien Romulus, but like, I hope that this gives Alvarez more opportunity in the future. I think that he's just gonna keep going up from here. And of course, my selfish hope is that he's gonna stay in the genre and he's gonna keep making this like awesome, gory stuff. But I'm just happy for everybody involved. Kaylee Spany is having a huge moment this year. She has been in so many great films. David Johnson, I think this is gonna be a breakout role for him. I cannot wait to see what he does next. Everybody in the cast was fantastic and really just sold the moments they needed to sell. I did have a little bit of trouble understanding, like, there were a couple thick British accents in this movie. So there were a few times where like I actually did not know what people were saying, but it was okay. I got the gist. The point is, everybody did their job. My God, cinematography, direction, editing, sound design, sound mixing. Oh, bellissimo. And that's gonna do it for my review of Alien Romulus. And I've had a really good time talking about it today. I cannot wait to continue the conversation down in the comments below. But if you're one of those people that wants to talk about jangling keys and, you know, being super harsh on this movie for fan service, then I cannot wait to mute you. I can't wait to take away your ability to talk to me. But for everyone else, I can't wait to read all of your thoughts and theories down below. If there are really major spoilers, maybe put a spoiler warning on it. I think this movie is gonna have a pretty decent theatrical life, and so I wanna maintain a spoiler-free vibe in the comments for people that haven't seen it. If you're curious about my thoughts on other horror movies that have released this year, there are a ton of reviews on this channel. There are also a ton of deep dives on horror directors, on franchises. I do original versus remakes. There's all types of stuff on this channel. I also have a second channel where I primarily talk about physical media, and I also post travel content, or, you know, whenever I go on spooky outings, like when I go to Spirit Halloween and Joann's, when all the Halloween decor is out. I'm gonna be doing that very soon. And then I also have a Patreon where I have a podcast with my dad. We're gonna talk about this movie, believe you me. I post bonus reviews and other fun content over there. If you also want to follow me on social media, that's linked down below. But more than anything, I just hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!